I'm really glad you're thinking about financial well-being. Financial well-being is really becoming a top benefit that's asked for by employees and employers alike. Today we'll walk through almost a real-life case of how Toast thought about implementing financial well-being to their workforce and how it's going, and just talk about some other trends around holistic well-being strategies. So excited to have you all today. We have some amazing people with us, Aimee and Val, and I just want to have them give quick background on a little bit more about their role, what they do, and high level what their company does.
Okay, great, I'll start. So again, Val Tivnan. So I'm the Director of Population Health Strategy and Wellbeing at EBS, and this is just a fancy word for Director of Wellness. But my role has two prongs, really. One is really supporting our clients in finding solutions to improve their population health, their engagement at work, productivity, happiness, right? We want employees to really be engaged at work and productive and happy. And the other part of my role is the population health analytics part. So I turn data into actionable insights for our clients so we can talk about what are the things that they're doing well, things that maybe we need to tackle and improve. If you ever go into my office, you see a big sign that says, "In God we trust, all others must bring data." So data is very important in my role and in my view. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome, and I'm Aimee Synder. I'm the Principal Benefit Specialist at Toast, and what Toast does is we are an all-in-one platform built exclusively for restaurants, so perhaps if you've gotten some food around town, you may have seen us in the restaurants. And as Principal Benefit Specialist, I manage our well-being programs, just from a holistic point of view, financial well-being, mental well-being, kind of all these perks that the employees are really looking for, and I partner heavily with Val here to bring my ideas for programming to life.
And I want to give a shout out to Aimee, who is currently in open enrollment and is still here. So she has a special, lots of special karma coming her way.
Special thanks to the rest of my team for really holding down the fort today.
So let's start off with, the term financial well-being. It's become tossed around so much these days. And, people have always been stressed about money. This isn't a brand new thing. People have been stressed about money for a long time. What do you think and what have you seen? Why is financial well-being really becoming such a popular benefit at this exact moment? What's kind of happened over the last few years? Maybe Val, you want to?
Yeah, so I will say that I've been in this industry for like 30 plus years, so I'm 56. I have no shame telling my age. But so I kind of followed a little bit the trend over the years. Initially, financial wellness for a company was to have a retirement benefit, right? That's it. It stopped right there. And I think my generation also didn't talk much about our finances, especially at work. It's nobody's business, right? It's just like your cholesterol, nobody's business. So with time, things have changed. I think employers have got a hold of a lot of data. Also, there are a lot of surveys out there asking what people want from financial wellness, right? And also, the interesting thing I think that happened is the younger generation entered the workforce, and this younger generation is in a lot of debt, especially student debt, right? So you might be hiring employees now that have like $60,000, sometimes $100,000 in debt, and that came out in a lot of internal surveys that we have provided, right? A lot of employees like, I need help paying for my student debt. Knowing how to budget, right? Things like that. So I think the younger generation has been very much more vocal about what they want and their financial status, right, than my generation. So I think that's what I see. So a combination of data, combination of another generation with different behaviors and getting a hold of data. And if you have seen a lot of the data out there about what people want, you see, there's one survey done by SoFi that showed that 71% of employees actually are worried about their finances. And 82% are actually ready to engage in something to help them. So that's a big opportunity there. Aimee?
Yeah, and another thing with what's going on right now is what we hope is a once-in-a-lifetime global pandemic, and we're realizing that, you know, a lot of folks were unprepared for what happened, right, with businesses shutting down, people staying home, you know, folks not having an emergency fund, not knowing how to budget for these things. So it's certainly top of mind for everyone in kind of every stage of their career.
Yeah, absolutely. That ties perfectly into what I want to touch on. And, you know, Toast is really unique. Toast has been such a pillar company in Boston. I mean, most of you are in Boston. You know, they've had such a great growth story. And obviously the pandemic just hit the company so hard. It really was reliant on the restaurant industry. And so, you know, it's 2021. You know, we just went through this huge kind of change there was this huge change at Toast, you know, with employees. And, you know, you find out you're going to go public and you decide we want financial wellness. Tell me kind of like what's going through your head? What's the conversation you two are having to decide this?
Well, you know, I'm always looking for perks that will attract employees and retain employees, right? Because companies are getting more and more competitive with their benefits. So I went to Val and I said, you know, help. I need something. We need financial well-being. We had just gone public. We have employees in all stages of their careers. A lot of employees of ours are under the age of 30. Some of them maybe in their first like full-time real job and don't know how to handle, you know, finances. And we want to make sure that we're empowering employees to understand their total rewards package and their benefits. And so, you know, I went to Val and I said, I need help trying to find something that's going to bring financial well-being and education to our employees and not have them, you know, seek out, you know, a financial planner where they may need X amount of balance in their investment accounts before they can actually start talking to them, and they're paying commissions to these folks. And, you know, Val was able to help me, you know, bring in some candidates to interview. And, you know, the most important thing to us was that fiduciary financial guidance. Someone that could actually talk to an employee, meet with them, understand their specific situation, and give them real advice that they can act upon rather than, you know, just kind of canned, you know, this is what you should do in this situation. Of course, there's going to be people who want the easy, quick lesson, how to budget, how to build an emergency fund. There's going to be every type of employee, and we needed something that could cater to everyone.
Yeah, and I will add that it's so refreshing to work with Aimee because usually I'm the one saying, you know, this is what I recommend, this is what you need, and the client's like, no. And so she is very open to, you know, lots of different tools to bring to her employees. And at EBS, we are agnostic when it comes to vendors and partners. We actually don't get any commission by recommending any vendors. We don't believe in that. We think that you become biased. And at EBS, we have also a financial arm. Neil Tremblay is a guy who has his own financial company that his office is actually inside EBS, and we go to him to a lot of advice, and that's when, you know, I created this checklist of things based on what Aimee wanted, and also best practices for financial wellness in the workplace. And we interviewed three vendors, and here we are with LearnLux.
Yeah, amazing. And in the spirit of LearnLux, it's really all about, you know, I guess I should, you know, I can tell you a little bit more, but at LearnLux, it's all about accessibility and equity and making sure that every employee has the most accessible and equitable financial well-being program. And people are really coming to the conversation around money from all different parts of their life, from all different walks of life. And so there's a lot we can talk on there today. I think what's so interesting, Aimee said a word, fiduciary, which, again, in the spirit of LearnLux, just breaking apart jargon, this is the word that you should be thinking about when you're interviewing or looking for financial well-being programs. It really means that whoever you're working with has your best interest in mind. And a lot of what's existed in the financial wellness space has been the large asset managers and wealth managers, and they, would go through the employer channel as a way to get additional clients. But really their goal is to push your employees' assets into their financial products, which are sometimes the right decision for them and sometimes it's not. And so when you're talking to groups, make sure you ask about fiduciary, make sure you ask about unbiased and independent programs, because that really allows you to make sure that when your employees are working with someone, they know it's in their best interest. And I would say even at a company like Toast and most companies these days, employees are actually begging for an independent, unbiased solution. They know that the financial system is so opaque, and they're saying, we want a company that actually will be open about, how they're giving guidance and what they're saying, and making sure that it is in our best interest and not just, pushing a product. So I think that, I'm really glad you said that word. It's, really become one of the biggest decisions companies are looking at when they're picking a financial well-being vendor right now.
And to add, Toast employees are very outspoken and know what they want, and I absolutely love that because we know, they know to come to us and say, this is what we're looking for. And I know that if we had implemented a program that was trying to sell something to them, they would have had something, to say about that. We looked at some, options out there, and it was a lot of advertisements for partner products, right? And that is also something I wanted to avoid personally, just kind of knowing that I want to make sure that we're vetting anything that's being sold to an employee.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So I think independence was a really big decision. You talked about Toast's workforce, and it is quite a diverse workforce. I mean, it is a lot of people in their first or second or third job. Toast really wanted to hire people from the restaurant industry, so quite a few people maybe never had a job besides, being a waitress or waiter in the restaurant space because they really, understood the customer. And, on top of that, there's actually hardware operations around the country as well, because there is this hardware component where the product that you use when you're actually paying. So it's quite a diverse workforce. And tell me how you were thinking a little bit about that and making sure that each employee would be served.
Yeah, again, like you said, all sorts of points in their career, and then all sorts of roles as well. We have employees who are sitting in front of a computer every day. We have employees who don't sit in front of a computer, and what is the way that you can kind of best reach all of them is what we were thinking about, right? There's going to be some people who need guidance on how to pay off their student loans. There's going to be some folks who are asking, what the heck is a flexible spending account? I've never been off of my parents' benefits before, and I don't know how to make these decisions for myself. And then we have people later in their career who are, wanting to make sure that they're saving properly for retirement, or people who might want to kind of dabble in investing and see where that would get them. So we really had to think about one product that could kind of do all of this for anyone, wherever they were in their career.
Yeah. And I mentioned that you're in open enrollment. Besides, all of the financial decisions that you mentioned, I think something that's pretty unique is that Toast has really utilized the LearnLux program to scale their open enrollment process and hopefully relieve a little bit of stress from Aimee's benefits team by, utilizing some of the education around how to pick a healthcare plan, how to know if you should utilize HSA or FSA. Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, financial well-being isn't just, how do I save for my children's college fund? It's, their benefits. And as we're going into open enrollment, we know that there's a lot of our employees that don't know maybe all of the ins and outs of how a benefits plan work or how they can make the pre-tax benefits work for them. So, LearnLux offers courses that employees can take, basic kind of courses which will give you the ins and outs of your benefits plans, customized courses that Toast was actually able to customize to our specific plans to tell our employees exactly how much our employer contribution is to our 401k, right? And then also webinars. And we leaned into LearnLux this past open enrollment season because we want to teach our employees about health savings accounts, and why this is an amazing thing that you can utilize for yourself now and, as you look towards retirement, and treating this as another investment and savings vehicle. So they were able to come in and host a webinar for us to teach employees about that, someone with a lot of experience, and could take some of that lift off of us as well, which was amazing because we all know how busy we get during open enrollment season.
Yes.
I want to add also that all of this also contributes to decreasing that stigma, right, in the workplace. The fact that you have this as a benefit allows employees and leaders to have a conversation that it's okay not to be okay financially, right? And here are all the support that you can get at work to make sure that. And one thing also that I would say about LearnLux that was important is that spirit of diversity, equity, and inclusion in which you have something for everything, no matter where they are, right? And I will also add that one of the things that I've been doing with a couple of different clients also is to understand their population, where they are, not only in terms of where they live, right? So getting some zip codes and do some analysis in terms of, do they live in food deserts, right? Do they have the ability to be close to a financial institution where they bank, or things like that are so important in terms of how the employee engage at work, how productive and healthy they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. And the LearnLux program, I heard earlier today, it was talked about different HR programs that are high tech and high touch. So you do have the digital component, which is self-guided tools and interactive lessons around your benefit plans and every financial topic you can imagine. We also employ certified financial planners. And this is a nice kind of relevant piece with that word fiduciary. Certified financial planners are the highest, it's the highest kind of caliber, the highest certification in the financial planning industry. So again, as you're looking at products, you'll hear a lot about different types of coaches or investment advisors. And there's so much jargon in this industry that you really want to break it apart and make sure that you know who your employees are talking to. So at LearnLux, you're always working with a certified financial planner. Every employee has access one-on-one to work with someone, unlimited access. And those CFPs also lead group sessions as well. So we had CFPs lead group sessions on what are the benefit plans, how should you think about how open enrollment and choosing your benefits actually aligns with your financial plan. One of the big reasons that we focus so much on healthcare and equity and retirement and making sure that the pillars of your financial plan are a piece of your plan is because we are in this incredible war for talent, and making sure that people understand that there is value to all of these amazing benefits that you're offering is really important. And so really pulling that all together, healthcare specifically, the number one reason for personal bankruptcy in America is choosing the wrong healthcare plan during open enrollment. And most people just do not know what to choose. They wait to the last day, and then they pick a plan that maybe takes the least amount of money out of their paycheck, but they actually don't have the $6,000 to pay out before insurance kicks in. And so making sure that you look at these decisions from a financial perspective and give your employees access to talk to someone who isn't you, who can legally answer and, tell them what is best for them is a really nice value for you. It actually scales your own job function. So you don't have to answer a million questions that maybe you feel like are, kind of on the line, what you can and can't say around all of these topics. So I think that's really fascinating. And just on that topic, Toast just did a really big refresh with the employer brand. So I want to talk a little bit about the employer brand. I want to talk about this overall well-being strategy that you're helping with, adding all these new benefits. So let's jump into that.
Yeah, it's really focusing on our philosophy of total rewards and how everything interconnects. It's so important. And again, we keep saying this, it's essential for employees to be able to understand their total rewards package. When you're first getting into a job and what you're looking at is like, is there medical insurance and what's my salary, right? What's my bonus? But there's so much more to it, and helping folks understand has been a project of mine throughout kind of this past year, and just adding in LearnLux as one tool for employees to understand has been super important. But, communication is key and key to the philosophy at Toast when it comes to our benefits. So kind of rebranding internally and being able to talk about the total rewards as a whole has been essential, I think, to certainly retaining talent, and now as we're going to try to recruit as well. Certainly a standout thing.
So the journey is amazing, I think, to get to where you want to get. And I always tell Aimee, like, don't worry, I have the method to the madness. I can help you. So, and I want to share with you some tools that I actually have utilized, right? So I learned so much from many companies and what their issues are. One of the things that they always say is, I have all these stuff, but they're all over the place, right? I have all these benefits, but they're all over the place. People cannot find, or they're in multiple places, and people already gave up on where to find those amazing benefits, right? So we do have an exercise that Aimee and I actually are continuously doing, which is, imagine like this one view, like one paper, right? And you have 4 layers. You have your traditional benefits, you have wellness, you have your voluntary benefits, and your perks, right? And imagine, and one exercise that we can do is, okay, what is your tradition? So you have, medical, dental, vision, right? Those are all the traditional things that actually, when a person is looking for a job at your company, they are already not even looking too much into that. That's important, but what else do you have besides your traditional benefits, right? How is your culture, right? That's what they're asking, and they're looking to make a choice into which workplace they're going to work for. So then we go and we do this exercise, and what you already have on those layers, right? Some clients, some perks is like Beer Friday, right? Yeah, let's put it in there. That's part of your culture. Include that. That's part of your benefits, right? So by going through the exercise, we can see what is empty. What are the things that are really empty? And kind of have a conversation on how we can fill this gap in a way that is, realistic to the companies.
I want to, because I know that you're all so lively, I want to open it up. I have, of course, a million more questions. I want to open it up a little bit, and maybe I'm going to ask you all a question just to get it started, and if you don't have any questions, I'll keep going. I could talk to you forever. But if you do, let me start with this, and then I'll open it up to your questions. There's this really big trend right now that I'm hearing about that some HR leaders have shared with me, and they're calling it going from pampering benefits to protective benefits. And I think that's just really amazing phrasing that, a lot of these perks used to be thought of as pampering. And now employers are really saying, this is actually protective. My workforce needs help financially. My workforce needs fertility benefits and mental well-being benefits. Right. And there's really these new pillars that are becoming table stakes in companies. So maybe I'll just open it up to you briefly, if any of you want to share some benefits like that either you're adding, that you're thinking about, that you're seeing. Let's try and get maybe like 3 people to name, you don't have to say the company, but a category of a benefit that you're seeing that's just becoming table stakes now.
I'll go first. We're just implementing daily pay, and we have COC, and we're also implemented a crowdsourced loan program where we really end up funding that loan, but if they get a shot at crowdfunding it, but it's just a stopgap, and it's interest-free. They can pay it back over a year because it's our particular sector is very low wage, and so we need to be, I hate to use the word, but more paternalistic than we have to help them protect their assets. If you're making a decision between getting your car fixed or coming to work,
you open to just sharing your company and a little bit about the workforce?
Sure. Our company is Advocates. We're about 1,600 employees. We're a human services agency in the Metro West, but we actually have group homes and outpatient clinics throughout the area. And our clinicians also ride along with police departments. They're embedded in police departments for jail diversion. So it's everything from developmental disability group homes all the way up to mental health, creativity homes. So lots and lots of direct facing folks who all through the pandemic, they go to work every day. Sometimes 12 hours a day, sometimes longer. So we're struggling to keep them, we're struggling to support them, and we're struggling to pay for it all. So yeah.
I saw someone in the back. Thank you for sharing.
Hi, I'm from Steel Art Company in Norwood, Mass. And just thinking of transportation, we recently just took a look at our demographics and location of employees. And with the rising cost of gasoline, we determined that, at least for the time being, until rates go down, we're actually supplementing and offering all employees, regardless of where they rank file into the company, that they have an additional $30 a week to curb the cost of gas, which I think is pretty darn good.
Well, we have one more. We implemented almost 2 years ago now student loan debt repayment. So I think that's really important and very attractive in recruiting the talent, knowing that they have existing loans prior to coming on board, that they can get help in repaying those.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. I think, what's so interesting about all of the benefits that you mentioned is at the end of the day, everything comes back to money. Every employee is stressed about money. Some of these were specifically related around early wage access or student loans or paying for gasoline right now. And you think about, mental well-being benefits, which Toast has also been on the forefront of. You think about fertility benefits, which I know I talked to some people about before this session. And those are also massive financial decisions. 71% of people who say that they have financial stress say that it actually comes from a financial burden. And, we talk about fertility benefits also, and, just how much of a financial burden that is day to day for families, child's care benefits. All of these things at the end of the day come back to employees' biggest stresses, which are really tied around money. So I think, when you think about financial well-being, it's how do we make sure that our employees are present every single day as much as they can be. People can bring their full selves to work. And, we talked a lot in earlier sessions about, individuals and letting people, be good at what they're really good at. And I think relieving them of that stress around finance really lets people shine and be their best selves at work. So, I think maybe let's talk about a little bit about some of the results that we've seen. Whatever you're comfortable sharing. We can share anecdotal or data, but maybe let's share, anecdotally, what are some things that you're hearing or seeing after implementing financial well-being?
I mean, something that we were hearing beforehand, right, was what we're talking about and how all of these stresses exist in the world, particularly now, and this pandemic has certainly highlighted them. And oftentimes, the last straw for an employee is not the stress from work, but it's the stress from home, and they just need to go and then take a leave because everything has become too much, right? And so if we're seeing leave of absences increase and things like that, that there's something going on. And so, by implementing financial well-being, employees from what we've been able to see just through some case studies that we've heard back from LearnLux is education on how to get them back on the right foot, to make sure that if they're living paycheck to paycheck, here are some solutions for you, right? And this is how you can resolve these issues so that you can be more present at work. I don't have any specific examples that I can give necessarily, but we do have some, great feedback from employees on, what the education is that they're receiving. We've heard from an employee who, again, was living paycheck to paycheck and was really struggling, and how do I get past this, and how do I get on to the next step to actually start saving, versus we have some employees who, seem to be pretty financially well off, and what's their next step, right? How do they invest some of their money? How are they maximizing their retirement savings? And so again, this is all things that then they don't need to be worrying about while they're at work, and can focus on, what they do and what they love.
And, we want to be respectful, obviously, of individual employees, but some of the biggest use cases I think we've seen at Toast, of course, with the IPO, a lot of employees wanted equity education around their RSUs, around vesting, around how do we pay taxes on this for the first time. So that definitely was a massive piece that LearnLux was able to help with, and it's still, a constant question. When people have equity, there's always questions around, what does that look like? How does that fit into my financial plan? And it's something that, is still a pretty taboo topic. A lot of people are pretty scared to ask about many times. They don't know if they have the right language to even start the conversation. So it's about just providing those first questions. I think, again, it is with an early workforce, you see people who are just picking healthcare plans for the very first time. A lot of employees might be first generation. They might have parents who didn't grow up in the States, and so they don't have that last minute phone call. They don't have someone to say, what is the difference between a high deductible plan and a PPO and an HMO? And so having that resource accessible to you at all times has really provided some nice scale there as well. Definitely, you mentioned paycheck to paycheck. I mean, there was an article that just came out that said, even 40% of people who make over $100,000 are living paycheck to paycheck. This isn't just a small percentage of our population. This is across all income levels, people taking home six figures who are trying to make ends meet. Inflation is a really big question that people are coming to us with right now. They want to know, how is inflation affecting, my financial plan, and what I used to take home seemed perfectly fine, and now everything just seems like it's creeping up a little bit. And so it's these day-to-day little questions. It's these massive financial decisions. It's really the ability to just know that you have someone there you can talk to. I think of it almost as this safety, this safety net in a way, to have the ability to work with someone. It's supposed to rain halfway through the day, and I thought, if it rains, I can take an Uber home because Uber exists in Boston and I have access if I need it. And just having a financial well-being benefit, even if every employee isn't using it this second, they can say, if I ever have a rainy day, if something ever happens, I have access to that. And it actually makes every employee at the company think higher of the employee brand. There's a new term for this I learned recently called the halo effect. And it's that idea that if you're offering these amazing benefits, every employee, whether they're using them or not, is saying, my company cares about me, about everyone here. They know that we're a whole person and we bring this, whole person to work. And so those are some of the trends that I've seen and heard about recently that I wanted to share.
Yeah, no, I also want to share some of the recent data that says that employees spend about 25% of their work week trying to resolve financial issues. That's a lot of time, right, of their work week. The other things that, from the epidemiological aspect of all that we are talking about, just think about this, right? Mental health and financial health, they're very connected, right? If a person is not supported, an employee is not being supported, they don't know where to go, if they need help, they don't, they're not educated, and sometimes they want to, right, close their eyes, and I don't want to see this. That's why I'm the only one who paid the bills at my household, because my husband's like, I don't want to know how much we owe on the credit card. I'm like, I know, and I'm going to pay for it. Right, so if you don't have that, the physiological effect on those employees are amazing, right? Sleep is disturbed, right? Their outlook, their happiness, right? The anger, all those those feelings has a physiological effect that we know through epidemiological studies that leads to chronic diseases in the future, right, if not helped, which, by the way, leads into high-cost claimants for you in the future. So it is your ultimate interest to provide them that support when they don't have it. So I think that's important to consider.
Yeah. Oh, we have a question. Let's take it.
How do you market this to new employees, whether they're new to benefits or new to, or, you know what I mean? So we have all these benefits, but we find that a lot of people don't take advantage of them because in the organization they have all this other difficult noise to deal with. So it's hard.
It is super hard, and we're definitely dealing with that. No one is immune from this, right? And you don't want to give everyone that information overload on the first week because they're trying to figure out how to open up their email. They're trying to figure out how to use Slack for the first time because they came from a Microsoft company, right? And what we're kind of learning is that targeted and timed communications are super essential. So you might not want to, on day one, say, hey, employees, we have LearnLux as a benefit here. We give them a whole rundown if they want to sit and read it through the benefits guide. If they're that kind of a person, they can take that home and look at it with their significant others, with their families, and go through it. However, what we've found is a great idea is maybe week 2, then you send an automatic email from whatever systems you may have that says, okay, now that you've settled in, how was week 1? How are things going? Did you know that we offer LearnLux? This can maybe help you sort through your medical plans. You have 30 days to enroll once you become a new hire. So, you have a little bit of time, but make sure you're looking at it, right? And kind of rolling that out. And then also targeting specific groups, right? So you can pre-program communications perhaps to go to the teams that need this communication, right? If you have an international workforce and a program is only available in certain countries, right? And what we found is programming things in advance to kind of go out in a timely manner is the best way because, again, no one can absorb anything on day 1.
Yeah, and I will also add, right, that at EBS we have an amazing marketing director, and she always says this, like, communications next. That's what she said, instead of communications next. So she can do like short videos, right? Because people don't like to read a lot of the communication. So maybe doing a quick video. Aimee mentioned the Did You Know campaign. So if every month is like, did you know that, we have LearnLux can help you with your financial needs, right? And it's like, click here to engage. So you're not giving a lot of information, right? So there are some of those strategies. I think the Did You Know campaign has been effective, the short videos, and then trying to find a hub where you can create that culture where employees know where to go for information and change that information over time. Yeah.
Yeah, every employee is different with the way they want to receive information.
Right.
So, short videos are one great way. Little did you know blurbs like through Slack if you have a program like that. We have employees that, like I said, aren't sitting in front of computers all day. So we have digital screens in the rooms where they work, where it can just kind of a flash by, like, hey, open enrollment's coming up. Here's some resources for you. And just kind of learning how to give them these little, small, easily digestible snacks is certainly a good way.
And remember my conversation, my explanation of like the one page with the 4 layers. So a lot of clients are trying to do this. So you have all your benefits there. And after like traditional benefits is the bubble for medical, right? So in one page, just imagine this. I know it's kind of hard, but so an employee can go to that one page and say, I want to know what my employer has for financial wellness. And it's like, oh, here we go. And it clicks, it leads to a PowerPoint presentation that, LearnLux is one. Financial advisor, it's coming next month to talk about retirement. So you have everything in there. And because, as you know, your employers will navigate to things that they want first and not what they need, right? But over time, with having that routine that, oh, I know exactly what to do, by engaging in things that they want, we are hoping that that will lead, that's just behavioral psychology, right? It will lead to things that they need in the future, yeah.
Great question, great answers. Very passionate about employee communication, as you all know. It's very important. I think we might have time for a few more questions. Or I get to ask you questions, up to you,
I promised those two I would not ask questions. That's why they're sitting in the front. Go ahead.
So I'm curious how you think about, if you think about the gas example, and you use the word paternalistic. So I've come from nonprofits and now I'm a startup, our salaries are lower than market because of that. So how do you think about what should be a benefit versus what should be passed along in salaries to empower employees to make their own decisions about how to spend their money?
That's definitely a great question. Something that we did as an exercise when we were talking about our employees was persona work, right? Like, think about the different personas of the employees that you might have. You might have, Jim, who commutes to the office every day and is a lower wage earner, or Betty, who is a remote employee and has a higher salary, right? And you can kind of, by doing the work of establishing the collective personas of the employees that you have, can be helpful as kind of background work to how to determine that. I know in the past, surveys have always been something interesting. I find that that's maybe not the best way anymore, right? And focus groups might be more beneficial to kind of learning what an employee might want than, your typical just send it out survey, because folks might not be as willing to answer. Maybe they're concerned that their responses would be tracked, something like that, a third party coming in to actually get that information to hear. And then, of course, a really great advisor to help guide you along the way.
Yeah, no, how many employees? 50, okay, yeah. We actually at EBS, we have a lot of companies who have, I love working with small employees too. Sometimes I have 100% participation in things. So it's great. So one thing that I probably will highlight is we learned from the Great Resignation that, yes, people want to get paid better, they want all those things. But they also want flexibility. So I would say if you don't have a lot of money to buy all these bells and whistles or things that are important, your culture has to be very important. Right? My daughter's 24, and I see the conversations. She's in HR, actually. Oh, boy. And so her conversation is like, I can work from home whenever I want to. I love it. That's why I'm working here, right? Even though she's not making a lot. But it's so important to that culture of, work-life integration, and really having open communication to your employees. And then little by little, you can buy the good stuff.
Okay, maybe one more? Or Steve can tell us we're out of time. No? Okay, let's do a closing, maybe just a closing line. If you want, this can relate to whatever you want. If there's one thing that you want to leave with our audience today, what would that be?
Oh boy, that I think you have an amazing responsibility and power to impact people's lives in a positive way and negative way, and I'm hoping you'll be choosing the positive way, right? Because I've been in many different organizations that the impact was negative, right? So you always remember the bad stuff. So the connection between the workplace and a person's health is amazing. So this power and this responsibility, I think it's important for you to recognize and to really, I know time is of essence. People, we don't have time for this. Let's just pick this. Yeah, no, let's not do it right now, right? I don't have the time. But take a deep breath Take some time to evaluate what is it, and with the help of a good consultant, hopefully also someone else that can see from another lens, to tell you those are the things you're doing well, and those are the things that maybe you need to improve and execute in that, and you will be building a workplace that is really positively affect your employees and families.
Yeah, I think that as the employer, your employees' entire financial lives are tied to you, and it's essential to give them the tools that they need in order to engage, to better their situations, and to feel empowered to make these choices and to, improve their situations and to thrive. So I think that that's up to us as employers, certainly, to offer.
Yeah, amazing. And I know that I am between you and lunch. Thank you so much for coming today. It was lovely to have you, and hope we can stay in touch in the future. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.